How's it going, man? I don't know your first name or whatever, but I was gonna say, dude, I think you're wasting your breath. This YouTube, first off, YouTube is full of atheists. They're gonna downvote your fucking videos regardless of how logical they are, regardless of how much sense they make, because of the fact that they're fucking consumed with this understanding that atheism is the correct answer. And it's really not even an answer, it's a non-answer. But they're gonna believe what they want to believe. And I understand exactly what you're saying. I completely, and I agree with pretty much everything that you're saying. I mean, to think that a God, to think that God, a thinking being, is gonna limit himself to scientific proof, test tube proof, is fucking ridiculous. But that's the only type of proof that atheists are willing to accept, test tube proof. They want to be able to poke at God and say, God had this reaction, or poke at God and say, God had this reaction, or poking God this way, and God had this reaction, so on and so forth. There's the only way they're ever going to be fucking satisfied with the belief in God, and that's not any way that God works. God doesn't work like, you poke at him and he's going to do this or that. Maybe you might be able to yell at him and you're going through a really tough time and he may act on that. But even that is not a be all end all answer to actually understanding the way God works. And atheists really don't understand that. They just don't. And they don't want to understand it. They want to continue their own perspective of having a superior mindset, having a superior perspective. And they're going to continue to have the superior understanding, this superior mindset because of the fact they think they're right. I mean, I'm a giver proof of God. A lot of it could be considered coincidence, but there's got to be a level, at least to everybody, to say there's a line. What is coincidence and what isn't, so on and so forth. And my line for what I would define as coincidence, so on and so forth, is actually pretty high. I would define a lot of stuff as coincidence, but there's some things that I say, that's more than coincidence. And I think that's the way a lot of people get proof of God, to say that it's not a coincidence anymore. There is coincidence in this world, but more than that, there is something more than just random coincidence. Like the first time I actually came to understand God, the first time I actually had a prayer answer was fucking the time that I realized for a fact that God was real. I was young, hella young, 6 or 7, I think around that age. And my parents started fighting. I'll tell a quick story. They started fighting over me, and they started yelling at each other up in their bedroom while I was on the couch downstairs, and you hear them screaming at each other. And I remember thinking and not knowing for a fact that God, that created the universe, could actually understand me. That was the biggest question I had at the time was, how could the creator of the universe actually understand this insignificant being I am suffering? How could God understand the suffering of such an insignificant being as me? And I remember just laying there, just crying and just asking God once. I said this. I remember this. I said these exact words: God, if you made my parents stop fighting, I'll believe in you forever. And literally, they didn't fight the rest of the night after I said that. And that's when I had proof of God. But atheists would just call it a coincidence. And, and this is unreasonable to me. It's illogical to me to think that that is a random coincidence. To say that when you ask for something to happen, like ask for something to happen and then it happens and this count up to coincidence when you pray to God, it's ridiculous. But they don't want proof of God. They want to disprove God. They want to be able to have their own perception be mightier than all. And I mean, they want to feel like they live in reality. They want to feel like that every religious person throughout the history of time has either been fooled or been delusional. And that's the perspective that they want to hold. That's the perspective they hold to. These anti-religious fucks, like Richard Dawkins, have no respect for religion. And I don't really have a lot of respect for religion myself. But more than not having respect for religion, they don't want to have any respect for the believer. You know, they want to believe in one way or another that they are completely righteous within their own perspective. And being closed-minded, has a negative effect on a lot of people. I mean, I've said this for a long time that religious people have blinders. They have blinders to the point that they will not be willing to see what's going on over here. Like creationists are just unwilling to see evolution or actually accept it in any fucking way, and they're just fucking blind to it. Just like atheists are fucking blind to the possibility that God's actually fucking real and that God has answered prayers for people. They don't want to fucking see it. They don't want to actually come to an understanding or perspective that it might be right because of the fact they're so comfortable with their own perspective, their own understanding, that to break away from their own perspective or understanding that they came so comfortable and came to know so well is scary to them. I mean, religious and atheists alike do it. I even do it. But it's not the right way to go about living. It's not the right way to go about life. But they continue to because of the fact it's the most comfortable thing that they know. So, I mean, you can keep talking to atheists, so on and so forth, but they're not going to listen to you. I mean, just look at how many downvotes you got. Your arguments were logical, reasonable, understandable, and you still got downvoted to fucking hell because of the fact that you were even talking against atheism. You were in support of Christianity. Because you're in support of Christianity, you get downvoted a shit ton. These people don't want to have a real conversation. They just want to look for reasons to feel superior to other people. Christians and atheists alike do this, but I would say stay strong, dude. You're on the right path. I don't even want to call it path. You have the right way of thinking going on, and that's good. Very few people do have that perception, and very few people are actually willing to come to a position and say that, I'm humble about this shit. But you are, and I'm happy to see that, and I'm happy for you. And just keep that shit the fuck up. Good job, man. Good job. Yeah, anyways, have a good one, man. And sorry for posting random fucking comments about atheists and how atheists think that they're superior. The next step of atheism a lot of atheists think the next step of human social evolution is atheism, which is complete bullshit. But hey, I'll just say it like the next step to the next step of our human social evolution is this: the understanding of the global community, the understanding that we are all one in one form or another, connected with each other, and that we're all connected. And since we're all connected with each other, we should all help each other and make our lives better by helping each other out. But that's kind of hard for a lot of people because if you bring yourself to a humble point and position to say that I'm no better or worse than any other person in this world, but I can actually do better by helping other people regardless of their religious affiliation, you lose a lot of the thoughts of superiority that you previously held. And a lot of people are clinging on to those thoughts of superiority to come to their own position of understanding. Yeah. Anyways, dude, it was a really good video. I liked it. I voted you. Thumbs up, bro. I feel bad that, these fucking people, they don't want to listen. I mean, you can try to talk to them, but they don't want to listen. They want God to be test tube proofable. And anything less of that is just reason for them to just not believe. So, I mean, you keep trying to talk to these people, keep trying to change their mind, but they're not going to. They get reinforced all the time on the fucking internet, I mean, by so many different people. And reinforcement, one way or other, we all want to be accepted in one form or another. And a lot of atheists get accepted for their beliefs. And on top of that, their beliefs seem fucking righteous to them. So you would have to come up with some great amount of proof or great amount of evidence or great amount of an ability to change people's mind to actually get them from thinking in this mindset. But what you're saying is right. If you ask for a great amount of proof, you also have to have a great amount of faith. Faith, in my definition, is a belief that requires trust. But most atheists don't have the ability to trust in God, to believe in God, to say that maybe God is real. They constantly. Sorry, I was about to go off on a tangent. I'm just not going to. But anyways, great video, man. Keep it up and have a good one. Deuces.